I know your question is what should I do to raise profit and then what to invest in once I get that additional profit. But if you could just give everyone an idea of where you're coming from and what issue you're facing.
I guess I'm worried I'm leaving a lot of money on the table in terms of profit, where I think my margins maybe could be a little bit higher. But there's a lot of stuff I'm hearing about. Don't be afraid to raise prices. We're in an inflationary environment right now. We should be raising our prices too. Where I actually think I lowered my prices this year because it's so easy to get a paint quote and you come in and you're competing against two or three other bids. I don't want to be so much more expensive than other people. So we've actually lowered our pricing in the hopes to increase our close rate. But should I be raising pricing? And then also, I guess part of that too is with subs, they've been more often getting upset with how we're paying them. So then that starts eating into my margins as well. And I guess I'm just trying to figure out how can I get more laser focused on protecting my margins.
Right. Great. So I was looking at your close rate. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like over the last few months, your close rate is about 33%. Does that seem right?
Yeah, across between me and two salespeople on my team.
And I noticed that your close rate is a lot higher, which is natural. Usually the founder has a higher close rate than other sales. Yeah. But because I think your close rate is around 47% and
Right.
Your salespeople were 20-ish%. Is that?
I think one's at 22, one's at 28, and then I'm at 46.
So let's start. Do you have a script that you have them follow, and are they following that script?
No, I don't actually have a script for them.
Do you review the calls? Do you have some sort of recording device that they have on them so that you can review the calls with them?
No.
Are you doing training every day on a certain portion of the sales call to make sure that they know what to say on different points, like the intro, reviewing, discovery portion, close? Do you train on different portions throughout the week?
No, it's more I check in with them and ask questions about how the estimate went. And sometimes I'll shadow them on an estimate, but I don't do really training, to be honest.
All right. So I would, given your situation and your close rate, and I would focus your efforts here is basically just improving your sales process, because it sounds like they're probably saying whatever they think is going to work. However, you pretty much know what you need to say, right? Your close rate's a lot higher than theirs. So you have something that you're saying. You just need to take whatever you're saying, maybe record yourself during a couple of calls that you do, throw it into Claude or ChatGPT to say, hey, transcribe the last few of my sales calls, and then give me a script that I'm pretty much saying. Take that script and then train your team on that script. Do you use some sort of sales framework?
In my head, I know my whole goal is to get them to like me and trust me, because I think at the end of the day, no one's assuming my painters are better than the competitors' painters. They just feel like I'm going to do right by them. And that's why they choose us.
I would encourage you, maybe before you develop your script, is this to and you might be doing this kind of intuitively, but it helps to have a framework. There's many out there. The one that I've used a lot is the closer framework, which is C for clarify, why they invited you to their house to give an estimate. Why are you there? What problem are they trying to solve? Are they trying to sell their house? Are they just trying to make everything beautiful again? Are they trying to fix certain issues with rotting wood? What is the reason why you are there giving them an estimate? Clarify why you're there. That's the C. Then the L is label that concern. So they're going to tell you, you're going to ask, so what made you call me? Why are you trying to get this painting done? They're going to tell you, oh, we're trying to sell the house over the next couple months. And so you label them with that. So it sounds like you're trying to prep this home for a sale and get as high a dollar as you can. Is that right? So you're just labeling them. So you repeat back what they told you and say, is that right? Or it sounds like you're trying to do X, Y, Z. Is that right? So that's the label. And then O is for overview, past experiences or past pain. So have you worked with any painting contractors in the past? Yes or no? Yes, we did. It was terrible. They did X, Y, Z. and then you label that back to them. So it sounds like you worked with painting businesses in the past and they started work and then they left and then they came back and the project ended up taking 3 months. Is that right? That sounds like that was not that great of an experience. So you want to get the past pain. What did they experience in the past so that you can use this information for the close? And then the S is sell the vacation. So this is you can do sell the vacation when you put together the proposal and maybe you have a guarantee or something like that and you're kind of pitching the offer, right? Whatever your offer is. You can also use a video sales letter to supplement this part of the sales process. You can require them to watch a video sales presentation. So you could pre-record a video sales letter where you go through your painting business's process, what you offer in terms of a guarantee, what the process is going to look like when you paint for them. And that's going to be your way to, in social proof from past folks you worked with, testimonials, Google reviews. You put this in a 10-minute video sales letter, and that's going to sell for you, do a lot of that S for you, but then you have to repitch when you present the proposal. But this will be really helpful when you have salespeople too, because you're going to require all your salespeople to use this video sales letter. And so at least a portion of the sales script was done because you pre-recorded it and they gave the video, right? So that will really help garner trust, assuming that you have a decent VSL, video sales letter. And then the E is for explain away their concerns. So you're going to have, you hear the same thing over and over again, right? Let me think about it. We're going to get 3 other bids. It's more than I thought. There's these objections that you're going to get. And so just having a script for handling those objections. And so this will look like usually some sort of framework to handle the objection. So acknowledging their concern. So it sounds like you're concerned that this is higher than what you spent on the last time you painted. Is that right? No, I totally get it. And so so acknowledge, and then you want to associate that concern with something good. No, I totally understand. Prices have gone up, and I think it's smart of you to watch your budget. We all got to do that, and I think it's smart of you to consider that fact. So you want them to make them feel good and not be combative with them, right? The reason why you're doing that is because you're going to try to close again, and then you ask another question. So can I ask you a question about that? All right. I know you said you spent, this is a lot higher than what you spent last time. Well, how long has it been since you last painted? It's been 5 years. All right. So over the last 5 years, paint has doubled in price. So that's one of the reasons. And so you can explain away their concerns. And then along with that, who did you work with last? You worked with XYZ company. You said you had a bad experience with them, right? So you just come up with, explain away their concerns, have those different typical things that you're hearing scripted out. And then the last one is reinforce the sale, which is basically how are you going to combat buyer's remorse? So sometimes when people buy something, they second guess themselves and will they make the right decision. So you want to have something in the sales process to reinforce the fact that they made a good decision. That could be something like sending them, just giving them a call and like, hey, super excited. I saw you just signed up with us and I'm looking forward to providing you a great painting experience. I sent you an email on the next steps, or send them a thank you card, whatever you can do to reinforce the fact that they made a right decision. So I would just take a look at having a framework, like the closer process, number one. Number two, look at putting in a video sales letter into the process so that you can know that at least a portion of the script is being abided by because it's pre-recorded and you're giving it to all your salespeople to provide during that estimate. And then once you have the framework and the VSL, then I would put together a script and then require your salespeople to memorize that script and to be able to really breathe that script. So that's going to require a lot of retraining on that and drilling. So you probably would need to do daily training calls, 15 minutes, where you just practice a portion of the script together and just focus on the closer part or the clarifying part, or just focus on the close itself or whatever part of the script in 15-minute increments each day to really enforce that training. And so that is the high performing sales teams. That's what they're doing. They have a framework, they have a script, they often have a VSL and they are doing daily sales training. And once you do that, you'll see your close rates go up substantially for those folks, especially the ones that are in the 20s. And that's going to allow you to increase prices. And I would use your close rate as a signal for when you can raise prices. So if your close rate, typically we usually recommend around, if your close rate's above 40%, you should definitely raise prices. So once your close rate is above 40%, raise your prices by 2, 3, 4, 5%, but then don't pay your subs more. You keep paying your subs the same, but then just raise your prices. So that increase goes directly to gross profit into the bottom line. And so you'll use and this is what Jason Phillips does out of Dallas, Texas. He has a $15 million painting business. They use their close rate as a signal for when to raise prices. Whenever their close rate goes above 35%, they increase prices. And then until it goes back down below 35%, they continue to refine their sales process, train, improve, and get that close rate back up above 35%. If it's sustained over there for over 35% for more than a couple of weeks, they raise their prices again. I think that's the biggest lever that you can probably focus on is just the sales process, getting that close rate up, and then that allow you to increase prices.
Okay, didn't think about that. Raising and close rate would let me charge more, but that makes sense.
Yeah. The other part of your question was, what should I do to invest those profits in? Where should I invest? Is that right?
Yeah.
I would say if you get this rolling and you have like a really good gross profit to customer acquisition cost ratio, which you have a decent one now, it's not bad. It's like 3-to-1, over 3-to-1. But once you improve your sales process, increase prices, maybe we can get it to 4-to-1, 5-to-1. And so that GP to CAC ratio basically means you spend $1 to acquire a customer, you're going to get back $3, $4, $5 in gross profit back. And that gross profit goes to you as profit. So I would say with the additional profits that you have is really go back into the business so that you can make more money, especially when we get that GP to CAC ratio even higher. There's not a lot of investments that you can make where you can put $1 in and then get $5 back in 30 days, which is, $1 in marketing. You get an estimate, you close it, you produce the work within a couple of weeks, and then you get that $5 in gross profit back. If you have a 5-to-1 GP to CAC, yeah.
How is where would I be putting those profits to improve my GP to CAC ratio?
I mean, right now, the first step would be use your current money that you have, improve your sales process so that you can charge higher prices. Then once you're getting even more profit from there and you have a really solid GP to CAC ratio of 4-to-1 or higher, then you can start using that additional money to just basically put back into marketing and print money. Because once you have a high enough GP to CAC ratio, it's basically $1 of marketing cost comes back at you with $4 or $5 of gross profit. That make sense?
Yeah.
The things, we have a few minutes left, or a couple minutes left. The things I noticed was your cash balance is a little lower than ideal. Hard to, you just mentioned you should invest in improving your sales process. It takes some time and a little bit of money, but mostly time. But what are you doing to improve your cash balance at this time? Do you have any specific strategies that you're doing to try to get that cash balance up?
Yeah, the problem is I had to take on to get through the winter, and I'm spend a lot of time talking to Greg. Trying to find a balance between now that cash is actually coming in, paying off my debt, but also maintaining cash to be able to in the business. Okay. So I'm still just trying to figure out that balance. That's kind of all the cash is paying down my debt.
Yep. So I would say, I believe your average overhead spend per month was around $37,000 per month.
Maybe that's year to date, but I think if you look at a longer period, it's closer to 45 or 50 per month.
Just to say 45 per month in overhead spend. That means we want to have at least 2 months of that as cash in the bank. So we would want to have at least $90,000 as cash in the bank. And then once we have that, because that's kind of buffer, like if something bad happens, unforeseen, customer doesn't pay you, whatever, some cash, buffer for those things. And then after you have that 2 months of overhead costs as cash in the bank, then you can start aggressively attacking debt. You get that taken care of. But I would first have at least 2 months of overhead costs as cash.
Okay.
And the way you to get cash, obviously profitability helps. Kind of the mid to long term play is improving profitability. The shorter term play to improve cash is basically to get paid faster and to slow down payments to others.
Yeah.
Get paid faster would be take a higher deposit. How much are you taking for deposit right now?
Sometimes we're doing like new construction or stuff. They insist on less, and then it's hard to collect those progress payments.
Yes. It's good that you're doing 50% on the residential, and then the new construction. Yeah, it's going to be annoying. So for another thing you can look at for residential is 100% prepayment option. So getting paid up front in total. Now check with your local laws. I believe New Jersey is good with that, but I'm not aware. But if you have a prepayment option, you can basically, get faster, which will increase your cash balance faster, right? Now, obviously the challenge is how do you get somebody to prepay 100% of the project? So you can basically look at your offer. What are you offering to incentivize somebody to prepay you the full project and upfront? So things you can do to offer would be an on-time, on-budget guarantee. So a lot of folks that work with contractors they get burned. They'll come in, they'll start the project, then they'll stop the project, then they come back a couple of weeks later, then they'll continue the project. And it's really not a great experience. So if you provide an on-time, on-budget guarantee that says, hey, if you prepay your project 100% upfront, I have an on-time, on-budget guarantee where if we don't complete your project within 2 weeks, let's say it's 2 weeks, it'll be done in a week, not considering weather delays, but it's a week of time. You can just double it and say 2 weeks to give you a little bit of buffer. So if we don't complete your project within 2 weeks, not considering weather delays that we can't control, you'll get 10% refund on the project if you prepay the project upfront. So they prepay the project as long as you get it done within a couple weeks, assuming you think it's going to take a week. Maybe you go over a little bit on a week, but you're still within that 2 week period. And you can obviously change that. You control how long you say, right? So you can triple it if you feel more comfortable saying instead of 2 weeks. But the client, it might be worth it because they've had such a bad experience in the past where it was just like drug on for 2 months. And they're willing to pay a little bit extra just so that they know they have that guarantee where you're going to come in and do it quickly. And if not, they get a partial refund.
Right.
So on time, on budget guarantee might be a thing to improve the offer there. And you can do other things as well to improve the offer to encourage 100% down payment, like paint upgrade, which is not that much money to you, but it's perceived as more. Like you do emerald instead of super paint or whatever. The one would be a maintenance plan. So if you say, do you have a maintenance plan by chance?
We have a 3-year warranty.
Okay. A maintenance plan is basically like you'll go out every year and maintain the like say the exterior. And your maintenance plan is we'll do a soft wash each year and a touch up, to increase the love of your paint job. So it might up to double your, so you can charge like $1 a year for this to just send one person out there to do a soft wash and do some touch ups. And now you have a recurring revenue, right? Because that person's paying you every year. You can get a payment authorization form up front. So you don't have to invoice them every year. You just get authorization up front with their payment method and then charge them every year that $1,000. And going back to the prepayment option, you can say, hey, we have a maintenance plan. If you want to for the maintenance plan, you can get the first year free if you prepay 100%. And so they get the first year free. which should be a pretty easy maintenance in the first year, assuming because you just painted it. But in the second year, they just pay the $1,000, but you have their payment information. You just charge their card, and you just keep charging their card until they cancel. That you can use that maintenance plan stacked in with your to encourage that 100% down payment.
Okay.
All right, was helpful?
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, sir. Well, gotta hop off for another call, but we'll let you go. I hope you have a good rest of your week. And is everything going well with Greg and everything?
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been great.
Good stuff. All right, sir. Well, I wish you the best, and look forward to seeing you maybe in one of the masterminds or something.
Yeah, chatting with you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Have a
so
good
much.
one, Jeff.
Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one.